We are live.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jen. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Cheney,
Here.
Trustee Lindbergh,
Here.
Mayor Newhart,
Here.
Trustee Bachman,
Here.
Trustee McManus.
Here.
Pursuant to Chapter 417 of the laws of 2021, permitting local governments to hold meetings remotely and take such actions authorized by law without allowing the public to be physically present at the meetings due to safety concerns related to the Delta variant of COVID-19. The Village of Warwick Village Board meetings will be conducted virtually through Zoom video conference until further notice or until the expiration of the law on January 15th, 2022. To view the meeting, the public may view the meeting live on the Village of Warwick, New York's YouTube channel. And the public may also view the meeting a day or so after its completion by going to the village's website, villageofwarwick.org. To comment during privilege of the floor, comments may be sent to the village board prior to the village board meeting by email to clerk@villageofwarwick.org or via mail, Village of Warwick, attention Village Clerk, Post Office Box 369, Warwick, New York 10990. Please indicate in your correspondence that you wish to have your comments read during privilege of the floor. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. May I have a motion for authorization to pay all approved and audited claims in the amount of $187,665.12.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we have one subject under discussion, and it's a continuation of the idea of a Village of Warwick parking courtesy. Bill, I'm going to ask you to continue the discussion. The idea was to give the board a week or 2 weeks to kind of mull on it and think about it and think of the parameters of it or the issues that might arise from it. So, Bill, the floor is yours.
Sure, thank you. Well, I think we gave the language that I got from Skaneateles, New York, to Mr. Gaba to review, and he also reviewed it with NICOM and came up with basically 2 recommendations. One was to say that recommend that no municipal funds be used to feed the meter. So if Melissa walked around and saw somebody that she might give a courtesy parking envelope to, she wouldn't be able to feed the meter with quarters. And the other one was NICOM and Mr. Gaba think that there shouldn't be any discretion along with this program. It used to be some criteria to give a courtesy card to. So certainly, instead of putting in any quarter, I mean, Melissa could take pictures of the particular car and timestamp it, and give a courtesy envelope to them, and come back in 30 minutes if the car is still there. Then give that person a ticket for a over extended meter. As far as criteria, Mr. Gaba talked about certain spots in the village where we could use the courtesy car, maybe days of the week, maybe license plates, out-of-state license plate might be enough for criteria. When I brought this idea from Skaneateles and talking to the police chief, I wasn't even thinking about criteria. I thought about, goodwill in the village and, giving somebody basically a break. I can certainly go back to the police chief. He gave me his number. I can call him and find out what criteria his police officers use, to give, this 30-minute break on the meters. But
Go ahead.
again, I obviously can do that, but again, talking to Melissa, she thinks it could occur maybe once or twice a week. So it's not a huge situation here. I mean, I'm thinking about I've got my share of tickets, and probably all deservedly so. But when you see the police officer come back from his car after checking my license and registration, and when he comes back and says, Mr. Lindbergh, I'm just going to give you a warning. I mean, so, police officers, law enforcement folks have discretion. It's part of what they do. And, I don't mind at all giving Melissa or our parking enforcement officer some discretion in some situations. Think about it as goodwill. Think about that visitor possibly from out of state coming back and say, okay, I did something wrong, but I got a break and I had a pleasant experience in the village of Warwick. So that's what I was thinking about all along. Now, to keep this program going, let's come up with some criteria. And really the only thing I can come up with is, out-of-state plates. And I certainly wouldn't recommend giving courtesy tickets to somebody that's parked in a handicapped spot or in front of a hydrant. Certainly not those instances, but I'm thinking about a busy day in Warwick during the holidays. People from out of state coming in, not aware of where to park, get detained, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's appropriate in some of those cases.
Well, I believe that Steve is in NICOM. It's absolutely correct in terms of criteria. It has to be kind of ironclad because, as you know, it could start all sorts of ideas of favoritism, and we get that already. We get folks
For sure, absolutely.
pointing fingers at each other. So I think calling Skinny Atlas and talking to the police chief. The other thing is that it's a police chief it's a policeman that's giving that tip of the hat. So, I mean, in a way, that has a greater weight than a parking enforcement officer. Like you said, they have that discretion almost already. So, I guess I have to look at that as well. I feel like Melissa gets her fair share of harassment, from the public, and I don't want this to turn into, something that could increase that or, make that happen more. So,
Sure.
One of the comments you made, Bill, had to do with Melissa saying that it would only maybe happen once or twice a week. Does that mean that she only gives over time, parking exceeding the meter limit once or twice a week?
No, I mean, we were talking about this, quite a while ago, and she doesn't think it's going to happen a lot. That's all. I mean, she gives tickets to 99% of the people.
So do you have any idea how many overtime parking tickets she gives a week?
No, I don't.
Because it would seem to me that it would be more than that. I mean, I'm 100% in favor of what we're trying to do here and what you've suggested in terms of, you know, providing a grace period for people who are at meters and may have gotten hung up in a store, forgotten the time, lost track, whatever. And I think it's a nice courtesy to do, and I think it makes us viewed as a more welcoming village. I think maybe one of the things we might just consider is whenever she sees a vehicle that has extended over the parking meter, you know, what they put in into the parking meter, that they get that notification or they're given that grace period with an envelope or a piece of paper, whatever. Automatically, everybody gets it, and that would cut out any discretion on for her needing to make, and it would just, you know, be extended to all. And you know, I don't know how many visitors we get from out of state, but I would imagine we get a lot from out of town, and you know, they're visitors, and we want them to come back, and our merchants want them to come back. So I think it's as important, if not more important, to be able to offer that to I guess what I'd say everybody, since we can't discern who's a town of Warwick resident or village of Warwick resident and who isn't. But I would be interested in hearing, you know, how Skinny Atlas handles it, and whether there are differences between their being police officers and us having a parking enforcement officer do it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
I'd like to know, I'm sorry, I'd like to know also how our police department handles parking tickets, because they do ticketing as well as Melissa, for one. My second part would be, I think, to Mr. Galba, in his letter saying that we can't expend any village funds, extending the parking beyond what our laws say is using village funds, as well as giving up the fines, is taking away village funds. So if we have meters, I don't understand why we don't want to enforce the laws we have. And if you don't want to enforce the parking meters, again, just take the meters out. You want to extend, Barry wants to extend it to everybody who's over the meter. So why have them? I just don't understand the rationale.
The intention of the meters is to keep people moving, that they don't stay in a spot for an extended period of time. Giving them 30 minutes more, is that, you know, creating chaos in paradise? I don't think so. But
we're changing the written laws that we have. We're changing the signs that are posted throughout the village, the signs that are on the meters, and we're just ignoring the parking laws for 30 minutes for however many people a day there are. So we are giving away village funds through the parking meter collections, through the loss of fines, and there's no rhyme or reason to extend a courtesy another 30 minutes to everybody who illegally parks.
well, we are not going that far, George. I mean, we're not giving everybody leeway that over.
Barry just suggested that,
Well, I think he
to
suggested
give it to everybody.
Corey, any pearls of wisdom?
Is it possible that the police department where Bill got this information from, or this procedure, is it possible that they don't have criteria for whomever gets a ticket? Is that possible?
What I've noticed, Corey, I don't see a police officer giving tickets for meters. I've never seen that happen. I'm sure it does in some cases. I know they give tickets for the highways. After November, you see tickets parked on streets. But I'd be curious to know how many tickets they actually give for parking meters, and I think it's pretty low.
I guess I'd also like to know, it says in here 30 minutes. So speaking to Melissa, the people that do go over that 2 hours or whatever X amount of time, is it usually 10, 15, 20 minutes? Does it always fall within that 30 minutes, or is it usually over that when she comes to?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, tell you what, let me call the police chief and just find out what criteria he has, what instructions he gives to his police officers, how often does it happen?
And I think we need more information from Melissa. I mean, I agree with Barry that it sounds strange that it would only be 2 a week. That seems very low. I mean, considering the amount of tourism and activity we have. And even during the holiday season, it seems that people don't understand that there's still a 2-hour limit for parking, and they do get ticketed. So, and surprised by that. And as far as courtesy goes, I mean, we do that program, which I think is great. I think people appreciate it. So that's something to recognize as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill, you're going to get back to us. You can email us that information, during the week, just so
Sure.
that we can all have it and look at it.
Okay.
Okay, great. Do we have anybody for privilege of the floor, Jen?
We do not.
We do not. Okay, so we'll move on to the one motion. Oh, wait, we have
Could I do an announcement on the Christmas tree?
exactly,
Pickup.
that's where I was going.
Okay.
Do you have it, Barry?
Yes.
Okay.
So the Village of Warwick Department of Public Works will be picking up Christmas trees. Trees must be placed by the curb on village streets prior to January 12th. Trees may also be dropped off until January 31st at the Town of Warwick chip site located at 65 Public Works Drive, Warwick.
Very good, thank you. And I'd like to make an announcement. St. Anthony's Community Hospital drive-through testing site opens Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. St. Anthony's Community Hospital will be reopening their drive-through testing site at 20 Grand Street on Tuesday, January 4th. This procedure will offer a more convenient option for community members because there will be no need for patients to get out of their car for registration or testing. Testing will be available Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. A prescription from your doctor is required. And the reason for that is that they do not want people coming in because they're going out to dinner and getting a test. They want people who are showing actual signs of COVID before a testing happens. So a prescription should be either sent or in hand from their primary care physician. And appointments are not necessary. This is being offered for symptomatic and asymptomatic patients. The site is anticipated to be open through the end of January. And, we're very lucky to have a facility like St. Anthony's. They really, step up to the plate when we need them. And so I'd like to thank them. We'll move on to motions, and there's one motion this evening, and Trustee Cheney, you've got it.
Mayor, could I just say one thing?
Yes, of course.
Do you know where at St. Anthony's over the weekend they were actually using the entrance to the emergency room versus the
No, this would be
trailer?
through Grand Street, off of Grand Street. So not the emergency room,
Okay,
not
so that
Van
by
Duzer.
by the pavilion or by Mount Overno?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Excuse me, Mayor, we have the correspondence letter as well.
The correspondence letter, I'm so sorry. We have one letter, correspondence, and that is a letter from the Village of Warwick's Planning Board Chairman, James Patterson, announcing his resignation effective March 31st, 2022. And with that letter, I want to thank Jim. He has been our chair. He's been on the board for a number of years, but he's been our chair for the past 2 years. And very important 2-year period where his leadership was critical in shepherding through some very difficult planning board applications and reviews, including Elm Street, Village View, and the last phase of Warwick Meadows. Definitely very full schedules and a lot of public input, and he handled it extraordinarily well. And so on behalf of the board, I would like to say thank you to Mr. Patterson. Good job. Thank you. So with that, we'll move on to motions, and Trustee Cheney.
Motion to hold the general village election at the Goodwill Hook and Ladder Company, 25 Church Street Extension on Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. The polls will be open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Final comments from the board?
If I might, a number of our residents might have received something like this in the mail. It's a water testing kit, and a free water test kit, and with a postage return envelope. The return address is to a company called Hudson Valley Environmental Solutions in Newburgh. I went on their website and found that they're a company that sells home water filtration and conditioning systems. So their objective in offering this free testing is to sell you a home water system. If you live in the village, your water is provided by the village. The village tests its water on a regular basis. Rest assured that the village's water meets the requirements mandated by the state of New York and the Orange County Health Department. The results of those tests that we conduct, are published in the annual water quality report, which is available on the village's website or by contacting Village Hall. If you have further questions about your water, feel free to contact the Village of Warwick Water Department at 845-986-1023.
Very good. Yes, that we've gotten some calls about those water tests and concerns, because suddenly folks unknowingly send it out thinking that it's a service about their and not so much that they're going to be then called with salesmen selling something that they didn't really expect. So thank you for bringing that to everyone's attention, Barry. I appreciate that. Anybody else? So with that, could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, gentlemen. Happy New Year.
Yep. Good night.
Happy New Year. Good night, all.
Good night.